Hello and welcome to our English news edition coming to you from Canal, Algérie. First, to the headlines. The President of the Republic, Supreme Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense Abdelmajid Tebboune chairs with his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron a meeting of the heads of security services of the two countries. The Army General Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Saïd Greha, receives the Minister of the French Armed Forces, Sébastien Lecornu, accompanied by Thierry Brucard, the Chief of Staff of the French Armed Forces. A new digital platform, the Z-Tech, is launched to allow young people to exchange their ideas and experience for the creation of investment projects. And we will later on discover the beautiful beach of Sbiat, or the Guitar Beach, a perfect destination during the summer season for beach lovers. Good evening, those were the headlines. First, in our today's edition, the President of the Republic, Supreme Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense Abdelmajid Tebboune, chaired on Friday with his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron a meeting of the heads of security services of the two countries. On the Algerian side, the meeting took place in the presence of the Army General Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Saïd Greha, the General Director of the Fight Against Subversion, the General Director of Internal Security, as well as the General Director of Documentation and External Security, whereas on the French side, the meeting was attended by the Minister of the Armed Forces, Sébastien Lecornu, the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, Army General Thierry Brucard, and the General Director of External Security. This coordination meeting is the first of its kind at this level since independence, and during which the two parties exchanged views on security issues of common interest. The meeting also reiterates the willingness of the presidents of both countries to develop the bilateral relations in various fields and raise them to the desired level. During the joint press conference held on Thursday, the President of the Republic, along with his French counterpart, reviewed the course of the bilateral relations. The President of the Republic also emphasized on the occasion the specificity of the bilateral relations between Algeria and France, while hailing the two countries' desire to promote them in the future.
إن المحادثات البناءة التي أجريناها اليوم بالصراحة المعهودة تنم على مدى خصوصية العلاقات بين بلدينا وعمقها وتشعبها، كونها تشمل جميع المجالات انطلاقا من الذاكرة مرورا بالتعاون التقني والاقتصادي ووصولا إلى الحوار والتنسيق إزاء القضايا الإقليمية والدولية ذات الاهتمام المشترك. وفي هذا الإطار تطرقت مع الرئيس ماكرون إلى جل مواضيع التعاون الثنائي وسبل تعزيزه بما يخدم المصالح المشتركة لبلدينا ويضمن إعطاء دفعة نوعية لعلاقتنا في كل المجالات، وذلك تكريسا للتوجه الجديد الذي اتفقنا على ترسيخه، المبني على إقامة شراكة استثنائية شاملة في ظل مبادئ الاحترام والثقة المتبادلين وتوازن المصالح بين الدولتين.
The President of the Republic reiterated his firm will to intensify the efforts to promote the bilateral relations according to practical and sophisticated steps.
قمنا بتقييم ما تحقق من أهداف إعلان الجزائر للصداقة والتعاون بين البلدين الذي أبرم سنة 2012، حيث وقفنا على سبل تجاوز مختلف العقبات التي تواجه تجسيد تطلعات شعبينا وبلدينا في إرساء علاقات استراتيجية تكون في مستوى الإمكانيات الهائلة لبلدينا وتضمن الاستجابة للطموحات الكبيرة والمشروعة لشعبينا. وفي هذا السياق جددنا عزمنا على الدفع نحو تكثيف الجهود من أجل الارتقاء بعلاقتنا وفق خطوات عملية مدروسة وبرنامج زمني محدد لتفعيل آليات التعاون وتعزيز الديناميكية الإيجابية في أفق الاستحقاقات الثنائية المقبلة، لا سيما اللجنة الحكومية المشتركة رفيعة المستوى للسياشن واللجنة المشتركة الاقتصادية لكوميفا والحوار الاستراتيجي الجزائري الفرنسي مع تكثيف وتيرة تبادل الزيارات على كل المستويات بين مسؤولي البلدين.
The President of the Republic stressed that both parties agreed on the need to intensify the consultations regarding the international issues which resulted in new challenges that affected the stability and security of the Mediterranean region.
لقد كان هذا اللقاء فرصة لمناقشة الأوضاع الراهنة الأمنية والسياسية ذات الاهتمام المشترك على الصعيدين الإقليمي والدولي. تبادلنا خلاله من جهة وجهات النظر حول عديد القضايا الهامة بالنسبة للبلدين، خصوصا الوضع في ليبيا ومالي ومنطقة الساحل والصحراء الغربية التي تستدعي تضافر الجهود من أجل تحقيق الاستقرار في المنطقة. ومن جهة أخرى اتفقنا على ضرورة تكثيف التشاور فيما يخص المسائل المطروحة على الساحة الدولية والتي استقرت عن تحديات جديدة تمس بأمن واستقرار محيطنا المتوسطي بل بالسلم والأمن الدوليين.
For his part, the French President Emmanuel Macron called for the necessity to find adequate solutions for the complex historical issues with the need to look forward into building a better future.
Nous avons un passé commun. Il est complexe, douloureux, et je crois pouvoir dire que notre volonté.
We have a common history, a painful and complicated one, and sometimes this history prevents us from looking forward. Therefore, I think that our willingness and the work we've been carrying out in France for the past 5 years alongside the dialogues we held will allow us to look clearly to the past with humility, because we can't just get rid of it, it's impossible. We've already oriented our ministers and teams to finalize by the end of this visit and write what we've agreed on, namely the creation of a joint committee composed of historians so as to review our archives of that period of history, notably from the colonization to the liberation war.
And the file concerning the travels between the two countries was also tackled, an important file that will open prospects for the establishment of joint projects.
Sur la question des mobilités et de la circulation, nous avons pris des décisions, là aussi, et nous allons ensemble travailler pour pouvoir.
Concerning the mobility issue, decisions have been taken so as to work together and deal with the sensitive security issues without affecting the free movement of artists, athletes, businessmen, students, researchers and associations, as well as political party leaders. All this will allow us the establishment of joint projects at the level of the two shores of the Mediterranean basin, and this new pact for our youth will be discussed during these 2 days, and I would like to implement this pact on issues of economy, innovation, research, culture and sport between our youth.
D'économie, d'innovation, de recherche, de culture, de sport, entre justement nos jeunesses, nos talents, y compris quand ces talents sont partagés.
The French president stressed on the continuity of consultations regarding security issues. He also stated that the regional tensions are numerous, affirming that the Sahel region and Mali are one of the priorities of both countries.
The regional crises and tensions are unfortunately many. The Sahel region and Mali are the priority of both countries. On this occasion, I would like to salute your commitment in the follow-up of the peace process and the reconciliation agreements of Mali signed here in the capital Algiers. This visit is also an opportunity to reinforce our cooperation in regard of the fight against terrorism, particularly in the case of this regional cooperation.
And on his second day of his official visit to Algeria, the French President Emmanuel Macron met with young entrepreneurs at the Mufti Zakaria Culture Palace here in Algiers. The meeting took place in the presence of the Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad Minister Mtala Mamra, the Culture Minister Soraya Moulouji, as well as the Minister Delegate to the Prime Minister in charge of the Knowledge Economy and Startups, Yassine Mahdi Walid. The French President had an exchange with the attendees about the creation of an economic environment favorable for the development of the startups, which represents one of the main points of the promotion of relations between the two countries, affirmed Emmanuel Macron. Later in the day, the French President went to the Mosque of Algiers, the unique religious and civilizational architectural masterpiece. He toured the various facilities of the mosque and stopped at the Great Hall for prayer, where he received explanations about this great religious edifice. During his visit to the mosque, the French President was accompanied by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad, Mtala Mamra, the Minister of Religious Affairs, Youssef Belmehdi, the Housing Minister, Mohamed Tariq Blaribi, and the Dean of the Algiers Mosque, Sheikh Ma'moun Al-Qasimi. The French President Emmanuel Macron also paid a visit to the European cemetery Saint-Eugène in Boulogne in the capital of Algiers, where he observed a minute of silence before walking around the cemetery. As part of his 3-day visit to Algeria, the French President Emmanuel Macron landed on Friday in Ahmed Ben Bella International Airport in Oran province. Upon his arrival, the French President was welcomed by the Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad Minister Mtala Mamra and the Governor of Oran province. On the sidelines of the visit of the French President to Algeria, the Army General Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Saïd Chingriha, received on Friday at the premises of the Ministry of National Defense the Minister of the French Armed Forces, Sébastien Lecornu, accompanied by Thierry Brucard, the Chief of Staff of the French Armed Forces. More details with Sabrin Tefrganit.
The welcoming ceremony started with the salute of the national emblem and the presentation of military honors to the guest by formations from the different National People's Army forces. This meeting gathered the Secretary General of National Defense Ministry, commanders of forces and National Gendarmerie, general officers of National Defense Ministry, and staff of the National People's Army, as well as members of the French military delegation. After greeting the French delegation, the Army generals stressed that this visit will be considered as a milestone in the process of mutual understanding between the two parties, driven by the political will of the presidents of both countries. During his speech, the General Army stressed that this visit will permit exchanging points of view about highly topical issues and those that represent common interest in a frank and pragmatic manner, adding that these topics evolved more in these last years in the light of terrorist threats, expansion in Africa in general, and in Sahelo-Saharan area in particular. The evolution of this threat increased cross-border organized crime, including drug and weapon trafficking, human trafficking as well, and contraband. These are the main criminal activities proliferating in connivance with terrorist organizations. The Army General retweeted that the interest of both parties in preserving and consolidating gains in Western Mediterranean in terms of maritime safety, notably the efforts applied in the field of bilateral cooperation for the race to the expected level. In regard of the diversification of bilateral cooperation activities, the Army General suggested to conduct a common reflection over opportunities and the fields for its concretization. In the same context, the Army General stressed that this dynamic will be included in the frame of a renewed cooperation agreement that will define goals by experts of both parties. For his part, Sébastien Lecornu saluted and recalled the important role of Algeria in the region, highlighting his willingness to push the bilateral military cooperation to its expected level. At the end of the meeting, the two parties exchanged symbolic gifts. Then, Sébastien Lecornu signed the Golden Register of Chief of Staff of National People's Army.
For his part, the Interior Minister Canal, accompanied by his French counterpart Gérald Darmanin, carried out on Friday morning a visit to the General Directorate of Civil Defense. The French minister received detailed explanations about the operational map and the intervention strategy of the civil defense. Later on, the two ministers went to the National Coordination Center of the Operational Management of the Civil Defense. They also visited the Crisis Unit, where they listened to presentations on the latest developments in terms of disaster management, including fires. The two ministers then visited the National Museum of Civil Defense. The Interior Minister Kamal Beljoud, along with his French counterpart, then went to the headquarters of the Subdirectorate of the Scientific Police, where they listened to a detailed presentation on the main missions of the Central Laboratory of the Police and its different services, notably concerning judicial identification and digital fingerprints. In a different context, and in order to encourage young project leaders to create their own businesses, a new digital platform, DZ Tech, was launched to allow young people to exchange their ideas and experiences for the creation of investment projects. Ines Killu has the details.
Encouraging the creation of startups, helping the project leaders bring their ideas to life, testing and validating their visibility, and laying the foundation of a strong business. These are the goals of the dedicated Algerian Excellence Camp for Startups, which also includes organizing training courses in entrepreneurship, financial engineering, and business leadership.
We created a 100% eco-friendly business which consists of collecting coffee grounds to recycle it, which we'll use to plant mushrooms and produce fertilizer. This camp allowed us to have a new vision, to make contacts, and to acquire a lot of knowledge, which will allow us to better develop our startup project. We participated in the last DZ Camp event organized in Skikda, where we won the first place. This earned us a qualification for the final scheduled for next November. Currently, our product is already on the market.
A new digital platform has been launched to bring together all innovative project leaders, startups, and investors, so that everyone can find solutions to the problems they face in all areas.
It's a digital platform that brings together all our projects. It's also a platform that serves to host, accompany, encourage and support all young project owners across 58 provinces.
The goal of this camp is to create a network bringing together all the project leaders and offer them a favorable environment to develop their future business adapted to the peculiarities of each province.
And we wrap up our today's news edition with the magnificent beach of Sbiat, known as the Guitar, located in Ain Timushint province, a mesmerizing place with crystal clear waters that has become a favorite destination for sea lovers from all over the country. Story by Melissa Kubash.
Beautiful islands decorated with golden sand and offering a mesmerizing view for its visitors. The Guitar Beach, located in the province of Ain Timushint, is welcoming a large number of Algerians who consider it as one of the most beautiful beaches in Algeria.
It's my first time here at the Guitar Beach, and I am loving every detail. The atmosphere is also great. I'm having a lot of fun. I came from the province of Tlemcen. It's my first time visiting this beach, and I wish to discover more beautiful places here in Algeria. We are young Algerian and we organize trips at the national level, namely touristic regions.
While families are enjoying the beauty and peace of this magnificent site, young people, for their part, are having the time of their lives in a crystal clear water.
We just arrived and I can already notice that the beach is beautiful and clean.
I'm very satisfied. I wish all beaches were like this.
Parents are enjoying the last days of vacation with their children before going back to school. And what better way than spending a great day at one of Algeria's gorgeous beaches, La Guitar.
And with this, our today's news edition comes to a close. Thank you for joining us.